remember all phone numbers, all birth dates, all by heart. But now, nothing.
Hmm.
So yeah. Sorry,
Okay,
Rajesh, let's get started. I
thank
don't.
you. Yeah. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome you all to our day 12 of the current ongoing book. Start with Why. We are reading chapter number 11. When they goes fuzzy. We have read that first 5 pages of this chapter yesterday. So we will continue reading from this page, being successful versus feeling successful. So who would like to start with?
I can start.
Yes, Anjali. Yeah, please start. Over to you.
Being successful versus feeling successful. Every year, a group of high performing entrepreneurs get together at MIT's Endicott House just outside Boston. This gathering of titans, as they call themselves, is not your average entrepreneurial conference. It's not a boondoggle. There is no golf, there is no spa, there are no expensive dinners. Every year, 40 to 50 business owners spend 4 days listening from early in the morning until well into the evening. The assortment of guest speakers is invited to present their thinking and ideas. And then there are discussions led by some of the attendees. I had the
So,
honor of attending I had the honor of attending the gathering of Titans as a guest a few years ago. I expected it to be another group of entrepreneurs getting together to talk shop. I expected to hear discussions and presentations about maximizing profits and improving systems. But what I witnessed was profoundly different. In fact, it was the complete opposite. On the first day, someone asked the group how many of them had achieved their financial goals. About 80% of the hands went up. I thought that alone was quite impressive. But it was the answer to the next question that was so profound. With their hands still in the air, the group was then asked, how many of you feel successful? And 80% of the hands went down. Here was a room full of some of America's brightest entrepreneurs, many of them multimillionaires, some of whom don't need to work anymore if they don't want to. Yet, most of them still didn't feel like they had succeeded. In fact, many of them reported that they had lost something since they started their business. They reminisced, reminisced, what is that? Reminisced about the days when they didn't have any money and were working out of their basements trying to get things going. They longed for the feeling they used to have. These amazing entrepreneurs were at a point in their lives where they realized that their businesses were about much more than selling stuff or making money. They realized the deep personal connection that existed between what they do and why they were doing it. This group of entrepreneurs gathered to discuss matters of why, and at times it was quite intense. Unlike the typical type A personality entrepreneurs, the Titans were not there to prove anything to each other. There was a feeling of immense trust rather than ruthless competition. And because of this feeling, every member of the group was willing to express vulnerability that they probably rarely let show the rest of the year. Over the course of the event, every person in the room would shed a tear or two at least once. It doesn't interest me to write about the idea that money doesn't buy happiness, or in this case, the feeling of success. This is neither profound nor a new idea. What does interest me, however, is the transition that these entrepreneurs went through. As their companies grew and they became more and more successful, what changed? It is easy to see what they gained over the course of their careers. We will easily count the money, the size of the office, the number of employees, the size of their homes, market share, and the number of press clippings. But the thing they had lost is much harder to identify. As their tangible success grew, something more elusive started to dissipate. Every single one of these successful business owners knew what they did. They knew how they did it, but for many, they no longer knew why. Achievement versus success. For some people, there is an irony to success. Many people who achieve great success don't always feel it. Some who achieve fame talk about the loneliness that often goes with it. That's because success and achievement are not the same thing. Yet, too often we mistake one for the other. Achievement is something you reach or attain, like a goal. It is something tangible, clearly defined, and measurable. Success, in contrast, is a feeling or a state of being. She feels successful. She is successful, we say, using the verb to suggest this state of being. While we can easily lay down a path to reach a goal, laying down a path to reach that intangible feeling of success is more elusive. In my vernacular, achievement comes when you pursue and attain what you want. Success comes when you are clear in pursuit of why you want it. The former is motivated by tangible factors, while the latter by something deeper in the brain, where we lack the capacity to put those feelings into words. Success comes when we wake up every day in that never ending pursuit of why we do what we do. Our achievements, what we do, serve as the milestones to indicate we are on the right path. It is not an either or, we need both. A wise man once said, money can't buy happiness, but it pays for the yacht to pull alongside it. There is great truth in this statement. The yacht represents achievements. It is easily seen and, with the right plan, completely attainable. The thing we pull alongside represents that hard to define feeling of success. Obviously, this is much harder to see and attain. There are distinct concepts, and sometimes they go together, and sometimes they don't. More importantly, some people, while in pursuit of success, simply mistake what they achieve as the final destination. This is the reason they never feel satisfied, no matter how big their yacht is, no matter how much they achieve. The false assumption we often make is that if we simply achieve more, the feeling of success will follow. But it rarely does. In the course of building a business or a career, we become more confident in what we do. We become greater experts in how to do it. With each achievement, the tangible measurements of success and the feeling of progress increase. Life is good. However, for most of us, somewhere in the journey, we forget why we set out on the journey in the first place. Somewhere in the course of all those achievements, an inevitable split happens. This is this is true for individuals and organizations alike. What the Endicott entrepreneurs experienced as individuals was the same transition that Walmart and other big companies either have gone through or are going through, because Walmart operates at such an immense scale. The impact of their fuzzy why is felt on a greater scale. Employees, customers, and the community will feel it also. Those with an ability to never lose sight of why, no matter how little or how much they achieve, can inspire us. Those with the ability to never lose sight of why and also achieve the milestones that keep everyone focused in the right direction are the great leaders. For great leaders, the golden circle is in balance. They are in pursuit of why, they hold themselves accountable to how they do it, and what they do serves as the tangible proof of what they believe. But most of us, unfortunately, reach a place where what we are doing and why we are doing it eventually fall out of balance. We get to a point when why and what are not aligned. It is the separation of the tangible and the intangible that marks the split. The chapter ended. Okay. Split happens. Walmart started small. So did Microsoft. So did Apple. So did General Electric and Ford and almost every other company that made it big. They didn't start by acquisition or spin off or achieve mass scale overnight. Nearly every company or organization starts the same way, with an idea. No matter whether an organization grows to become a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Walmart or fails in the first few years, most of them started with a single person or small group of people who had an idea. Even the United States of America started the same way. At the beginning, ideas are fueled by passion, that very compelling emotion that causes us to do quite irrational things. That passion drives many people to make sacrifices so that a cause bigger than themselves can be brought to life. Some drop out of school or quit a perfectly good job with a good salary and benefits to try to go it alone. Some work extraordinarily long hours without a second thought, sometimes sacrificing the stability of their relationships or even their personal health. This passion is so intoxicating and exciting that it can affect others as well. Inspired by the founder's vision, many early employees demonstrate classic early adopter behavior. Relying on their gut, these first employees also quit their perfectly good jobs and accept lower salaries to join an organization with a 90% statistical chance of failing. But the statistics don't matter. Passion and optimism reign, and energy is high. Like all early adopters, and behaviors of those who join early says more about them than it does about the company's prospects. The reason so many small businesses fail, however, is because passion alone can't cut it. For passion to survive, it needs structure. A why without the house, passion without structure, has a very high probability of failure. Remember the dot-com boom? Lots of passion, but not so much structure. The Titans at Endicott House, however, did not face this problem. They knew how to build the systems and processes to see their companies grow. They are among the statistical 10% of small businesses that didn't fail in their first 3 years. In fact, many of them went on to do quite well. Their challenge was different. Passion may need structure to survive, but for structure to grow, it needs passion. This is what I witnessed at the gathering of titans. I saw a room full of people with passion enough to start businesses and with knowledge enough to build the systems and structures to survive and even do very well. But having spent so many years focused on converting a vision into a viable business, many started to fixate on what the organization did or how to do it, poring over financial or some other easily measured results and fixating on how they were to achieve those tangible results. They stopped focusing on why they started the business in the first place. This is also what has happened at Walmart. A company obsessed with serving the community became obsessed with achieving its goals. Like Walmart, the Endicott entrepreneurs used to think, act, and communicate from the inside out of the golden circle, from why to what. But as they grew more successful, the process reversed. What now comes first? And all their systems and processes are in pursuit of those tangible results. The reason the change happened is simply they suffered a split, and their why went fuzzy. The biggest challenge is success. Okay. So this is about on the x-axis time and y pay. This is the money or other metrics, what the measuring tool. This is showing how the graph goes. Y becomes stagnant after a period of time, but what continues to grow? The single greatest challenge any organization will face is success. When the company is small, When the company is small, the founder will rely on his gut to make all the major decisions. From marketing to product, from strategy to tactics, hiring and firing, the decisions the founder makes will, if he trusts his gut, feel right. But as the organization grows, As it becomes more successful, it becomes physically impossible for one person to make every major decision. Not only must others be trusted and relied upon to make big decisions, but those people will also start making hiring choices. And slowly but surely, as the megaphone grows, the clarity of why starts to dilute. Whereas gut was the filter for early decisions, rational cases and empirical data often serve as the sole basis for later decisions. For all organizations that go through the split, they are no longer inspired by a cause greater than themselves. They simply come to work, manage systems, and work to reach certain preset goals. There is there is no longer a cathedral to build. The passion is gone and inspiration is at a minimum. At that point, for most who show up every day, what they do is just a job. If this is how the people on the inside feel, imagine how those on the outside feel. It is no wonder that manipulations start to dominate not only how the company sells its wares, but even how they retain employees. Bonuses, promotions, and other enticements, even instilling fear in people, become the only way to hold on to talent. That's hardly inspiring. Okay. This diagram depicts the life of an organization. The top line represents the growth of what the organization does. For a company, that measurement is usually money, profits, revenues, EBITDA, share price, or growth in market share. But the metric can be anything depending on what the organization does. If the organization rescues lost puppies, then the metric would be the number of puppies successfully rescued. It is it is inherently simple to measure the growth of what an organization does. What's, after all, are tangible and easy to count. The second line represents the why, the clarity of the founding, purpose, cause, or belief. The goal is to ensure that as the measurement of what grows, the clarity of the why stays closely aligned. Put another way, as the volume of the megaphone increases, the message traveling through it must stay clear. The volume of the megaphone comes solely from the growth of what? As this metric grows, any company can become a leading company, but it is the ability to inspire, to maintain clarity of why, that gives only a few people and organizations the ability to lead. The moment at which the clarity of why starts to go fuzzy is the split. At this point, organizations may be loud, but they are no longer clear. Would anybody want to read?
Yes, I can. When organizations are small, what they do and why they do it are in close parallel. Born out of the personality of the founder, it is relatively easy for early employees to get it. Clarity of why understood because the source of passion is near. In fact, it physically comes to work every day. In most small businesses, all the employees are all crammed into the same room and socialized together. Simply being around a charismatic founder allows that allows that feeling of being part of something special to flourish. Although there may be some efficiencies to be gained for small businesses that act perfectly comfortable staying small. The need to articulate the why is not as important. For organizations that want to pass the school bus test to become billion-dollar organizations or work at a scale large enough to shift markets or society, the need to manage through the split is paramount. The school bus test is a simple metaphor. If a founder or leader of an organization were to be hit by a school bus, would the organization continue to thrive at the same pace without them at the helm? So many organizations are built on the force of a single personality that their departure can cause significant disruption. The question is not if it happens. All founders eventually leave or die. It is just a question of when and how prepared the organization is for the inevitable departure. The challenge is not to cling to the leader, it is to find effective ways to keep the founding vision alive forever. To pass the school bus test, for an organization to continue to inspire and lead beyond the lifetime of its founder, the founder's why must be extracted and integrated into the culture of the company. What's more, a strong succession plan should aim to find a leader inspired by the founding cause and ready to lead it into the next generation. Future leaders and employees alike must be inspired by something bigger than the force of personality of the founder and must see beyond profit and shareholder value alone. Microsoft has experienced a split, but is not so far down the line that it cannot be put back on track. There was a time not too long ago that people at Microsoft showed up at work every day to change the world, and they did. What Microsoft achieved, putting a PC on every desk, dramatically changed the way we live. But then their why went fuzzy. Few people at the company today are instructed to do everything they can to help people to be more productive so that they can achieve their greatest potential. Instead, Microsoft became just a software company. If you visit Microsoft's headquarters in Redmond, Washington, you will find that although their why has gone fuzzy, it is not lost. That sense of a cause, that desire to change the world again is still there, but it has become unfocused, wrapped up in how and what they do. Microsoft has a remarkable opportunity to clarify their why and regain the inspiration that took them to where they are today. If they do not, if all they do is manage the what and continue to ignore the why, they will end up looking like America Online, a company so far past the split that their why is indeed lost. There is barely a hint of the original why left anymore. America Online used to inspire, like Google today. It was the hot company to work for. People clamored to move to Virginia to work for this amazing company that was changing the rules of business. And it was true that, like all inspiring companies, AOL set in motion changes that profoundly altered how we do almost everything. They inspired a nation to get online. Their cause was clear, and their decisions were governed by their why. Their goal was to get more people online, even if their decision in pursuit of that goal wreaked havoc on their business in the short term. With their why in focus, AOL pulled ahead of their competition by deciding to change from hourly pricing for internet access to unlimited monthly pricing, a decision that created so much traffic it shut down their servers. Given the impact, the decision was neither practical nor rational, but it was the right choice to help bring their cause to life. That their systems shut down with the additional traffic only pushed them to work harder, to cope with it, to ensure that America could, in fact, get and stay online. In those days, having an AOL email address was a point of pride, a sign of being one of those who was a part of the internet revolution. These days, still having an AOL email address is a symbol of having been left behind. that the meaning of something as simple as @AOL.com has changed so dramatically is additional proof that the company's cause has long since departed. Absent a clear why, size, and momentum are all AOL has to keep them going. The company is not inspiring anymore, not to those who work there and not to those on the outside. We don't talk about them like we used to, and we certainly don't feel the same way about them either. We don't compare them to Google or Facebook or any of the other industry changing companies of today. Like a massive freight train with brakes applied, it will still take miles for this train to come to a complete stop. It is simple physics. At best, AOL's size will help them putter along, but without a more compelling purpose, cause, or belief. The company is simply a collection of stuff. It will probably end up being chopped up and sold off for scrap, technology, or customers, which is a sad reality considering how inspiring AOL used to be. It is not coincidence that successful entrepreneurs long for the early days. It is no accident that big companies talk about a return to basics. What they are alluding to is a time before the split, and they would be right. They do indeed need to return to a time when what they did was in perfect parallel to why they did it. If they continue down the path of focusing on their growth of what at the expense of why, more volume and less clarity, their ability to thrive and inspires for years to come is dubious at best. Companies like Walmart, Microsoft, Starbucks, The Gap, Dell, and so many others that used to be special have all gone through a split. If they cannot recapture their why and re inspire those inside and outside their organization, every one of them will end up looking more like AOL than the companies they were. Next is what gets measured gets done. In the fall of her freshman year in college, Christina Harbridge set out to find a part time job. Intrigued by the prospect of working in the antiques business, she answered a newspaper ad in Sacramento to do office work for a collector. Harbage soon found out, however, that the job was filling papers for a collection agent, and even then she was not entirely sure what that meant. The collections office consisted of a huge room with dozens of phone stations, each staffed by a debt collector making call after call to a long list of businesses and individuals who owed money. The setup of the room meant there was no privacy. Everyone could hear everyone else's calls. Harbridge was immediately taken by the harshness of the tone that all the collectors used with those from whom they aimed to collect unpaid debts. They would hound them and practically threaten them, she said. They would do anything they would do anything it took to get information from them. Harbridge recognized that the owner of the company and collectors were all kind, gracious people. They helped each other out, listened to each other's problems, and even joined together sponsor a homeless family during the holidays. But when they wait on the phone to collect a debt, these same people turn passive aggressive, rude, and often mean. It is not because they were bad people. It is because they were incentivized to be that way. Their officious behavior made perfect sense. What gets measured gets done. As well known sales coach Jack Daly says, and second, the world of debt collecting, the callers were given bonuses based on how much money they collected. This has resulted in any industry that threatens, badgers, hounds, and provokes. It did take long until Harbridge found herself adopting the same attitude whenever she talked with debtors. I began treating people on the phone the way everybody else in the office treated them, she said, feeling like what she was doing was completely out of balance with her why. Harbridge decided there had to be another way to go in my head that I was going to start an agency that collected by being nice, she said. People in the collections business, though, Harbridge naive, if not crazy, and maybe she was. In 1993, Harbridge moved to San Francisco and started her own collections firm, Bridgeport Financial, steeped in the belief that agents would have more success treating people with respect than badgering them. Harbridge built her company on her why that everyone has a story and everyone deserves to be listened to. Her approach was to have her agents try to establish rapport with the debtor on the other end of the phone in the course of a 3-minute conversation. The goal was to learn everything they could about the person's circumstances. Did they have the means to collect the debt? Would they honor a payment plan? Was the reason for the failure to pay reflective of a short term situation? We would get people to tell us the truth, she said. Sure, we had a legal department, but we tried to avoid using it. Harbridge knew, however, that no matter her intentions, if she measured the result the same was as others, the same awful behavior would result. So she came with an entirely new way to incentivize her people. She found a way to measure why. At Bridgeport Financial, bonuses were not given for the amount of money that was collected. They were given based on how many thank you cards her agents sent out. This is harder than it sounds. Sending out a card thanking someone for the time they spent talking on the phone requires a few things. First, Harbridge had to hire people who believed what she believed. She had to hire good fits. If her employees did not believe that everyone deserves to be listened to, it would not work. Only good fit hires would be capable of creating an environment on the telephone that would actually warrant sending a thank you card, even though the purpose of the call was to ask for money. Harbridge measured why her company existed, not what they did, and the result was a culture in which compassion was valued above all. But what about the other results? What about her financial results? The one most businesses pursue first. Bridgeport Financial collected 300% more than the industry average. What's more, most of the people and companies who were initially being pursued ended up doing more business with the original company that sent the collection agency after them in the first place. This is almost unprecedented in the collections industry. Harbride's business succeeded not just because she knew why she was doing what she was doing, but because she found a way to measure the why. The company's growth was loud and her cause was clear. She started with why and the rest followed. Most organizations today use very clear metrics to track the progress and growth of what they do. Usually it's money. Unfortunately, we have very poor measurements to ensure that a why stays clear. Dine Honor has for the past 10 years run his own commercial construction company in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a trade he learned from his father. A leader with a deep sense of purpose, he devised some years ago a brilliant system to ensure that his values are reinforced in his company's culture. He figured out how to measure something most people can only pay lip service to: work life balance. Honor, honor believes that people should not spend all their time at work, but rather they should work to spend more of their time with their families. Every employee at Honors Construction is required to clock in the morning and clock out in the evening. But there is a catch. They must clock in between 8 to 8:30 a.m. and out by 5 to 5:03 p.m. It is 5:30 maybe. Stay any later and they are taken out of a bonus pool. Because employees know they have to leave by 5:30 p.m. Wasted time has dropped to a minimum. Productivity is high and turnover in low. Consider how much you get done the day before you go on vacation. Now imagine every day is like that. That is what Dine Honor figured out how to do, because he figured out how to measure a value he holds dear. That value is embraced. Most importantly, because Honor's action passed the salary test. Others can clearly see what he believes. Money is a perfectly legitimate measurement of goods sold or services rendered, but it is no calculation of value. Just because somebody makes a lot of money does not mean that he necessarily provides a lot of value. Likewise, just because somebody makes little money does not necessarily mean he provides only a little value. Simply by measuring the number of goods sold or the money brought in is no indication of value. Value is a feeling, not a calculation. It is perception. One could argue that a product with more bells and whistles that sells for less is the greater value. But by whose standard? My uncle used to make tennis rackets. His rackets were made the exact same factory as a name brand racket. They were made of the same material on the same machine. The only difference with that, when my uncle's rackets came off the assembly line, they did not put the well-known brand logo on the product. My uncle's racket sold for less money in the same big box retailer next to the name brand rackets. Month after month, the name brand rackets outsold the generic brand ones. Why? Because people perceived greater value from the name brand rackets and felt just fine paying a premium for that feeling. On a strictly rational scale, the generic rackets offered better value. But again, value is a perception, not a calculation, which is the reason companies make such a big deal about investing in their brand. But a strong brand, like all other intangible factors that contribute to the perception of value starts with a clear sense of why. If those outside the megaphone share your why, and if you are able to clearly communicate that belief in everything you say and do, trust emerges and value is perceived. When that happens, loyal buyers will always rationalize the premium they pay or the inconvenience they suffer to get that feeling. To them, the sacrifice of time or money is worth it. They will try to explain that their feeling of value comes from quality or features or some other easy to point to element, but it does not. Those are external factors, and the feeling they get comes completely from inside them. When people can point out to a company and clearly articulate what the company believes and use words unrelated to price, quality, service, and features, that is proof the company has successfully navigated the split. When people describe the value they perceive with visceral, excited words like love, that is a sure sign that a clear sense of why exists. Do
One
we
minute,
have
let me
to
check.
read
Let me
further?
check.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, let me
yes.
check how many pages are remaining for this one. 2023. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we have enough pages. I think 6. Okay, I think we will not be able to complete this chapter. Let's end for today's reading with this page.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 223. I think we have to start with that. Good success keeps the way why alive. Okay. Thank you, Anjali, and thank you, Suman, for beautiful reading. And you both led that entire reading today, and it was nice to hear you when you guys reading. Yes,
Thank
today
you, thank you.
we have read the part of chapter 11 and part of chapter 12. The chapter the 11 which we started yesterday when why goes fuzzy. Yesterday we start discussing about that Walmart, and then we continued further today reading, and then we also continue to chapter 12 split happens. Anyone would like to share your learnings or your insights from today's reading, or if any sub chapters we have read? Yes, the both chapters again persisting or insisting about the purpose of why uh, is pointing out that why part. So anyone would like to share today's reading, something you felt wow moment, aha moment, hearing this? I just want to I have some opinion about on this point. Anything, please.
Yes, today's learning was about achievement versus success. That we earn money, that is not that may not be the true success. Sometimes other factors, one may have got success, but uh, if we go underline, the person may not be happy. He may feel lonely, and so many other things may be there. So the first chapter was basically that achievement is very different from success. That what money we are earning, that is not the true measurement that that company is successful. And the next was when why goes fuzzy. That first of all, any company starts with the why, but with time they get used to it and they take it easily. In Atomic Habit, once I read that first of all we have to work on the basic habits. So in this scenario it was why, that our why should be clear. But once we have that habit, after that we should go on progressing. Otherwise that habit is automated and we may not have further success. And that is the stagnation point that people go down or the companies get failure. Yeah, this was the insight I could relate
Yes,
to.
yes,
Yes.
Sumant. Thank you. I think you have nicely brought up that the first chapter which you have read, that achievement was a success. I think sometimes we also have doubt about it. Okay, what I'm achieving and what I'm considering as a success. Actually, these both it might looking similar, but both have different meanings, and everything cannot be measured by that money. And also, we should feel that the why purpose to be clear. And today we have also read about the consequence of losing why. When the organization grows up, or that isn't even that individual, what happens when we lose that why part, or when we become some fussy? I think we lose that. I think when we lose that why, we lose the trust, the loss of loyalty, inconsistency in the actions, and people start the criticizing. I think we can receive we receive some criticism from the public. So many things happens when we go off track of why. Especially, I think in today's leading, there was one page or one side. When we start something, when we start a small organizations, yeah, I think what we do and all those things. But if you want to make bigger, and if you want to make more employees or more stakeholders or more people or the more customers, if you are expecting in the business, that will continue if you have the clear why part. That way we can continue. If you're losing this one why part, then there are chances it may decline. That is also major reason sometimes some big companies, if they don't have integrity, if they don't have a dignity in the business, maybe they may short time feel a lot of success, but it will not go for the longer run. We have experienced, or we have seen so many companies in our experiences. Is anyone else who would like to share any other thoughts?
Uh,
Same way, many students they take the stream in the rat race others are taking, but later on they switch to businesses and other. So the whole in their whole year, life, what time they have put into, ultimately they are doing something else because their why was not clear.
Yeah, yeah, of course. When we make something, for example, if we are only targeting to that tangible benefit, or that the profit and the business growth, only this, then people may try it all to manipulate and how we can make it so this one, but it will not go for the longer run. Even if there's a personal wise as well as a student or something. I think if someone doing manipulations on this, getting some good marks, but it's not going to fulfill that the actual purpose by taking that good marks, but it won't help the longer run. It may be giving the short time happiness.
That's
I
true.
think at a deeper level, uh, I think we have to recall the why reason at least again and again. I mean, like whenever the time permits, or I mean, whenever the brain works at a certain frequency, it's better to visualize on the why, because from month to month or from days to days, also the condition may differ. So when you just try to get back to that core thing again and again, repeatedly, maybe the efficiency would be differed, especially at the student level, not at the the company level or whatever. But I mean, what I mean to say is, even while making the child to grow up, it's better to repeat their why factor again and again. Because these days, actually, my daughter is in BPA first year, so she asked me so many questions. I would again and again repeatedly tell that for this reason you are pursuing this particular degree, and that is the end point. So they have a lot of confusions for what factor she has joined and what would be the reason and all that. So that why factor should be repeatedly repeated for the student level at least. So that later, their mind itself will be tuned to repeat their why reason again and again. And there wouldn't be any diversions also. So that should be the focal point. Yeah, that's it.
Yes, Pranami, yeah, thanks for your sharing. I think from the student level or that when they were the early age itself, we have to make them to we when we start asking questions for everything, why, okay, why you are doing this,
Yes.
and make them to understand this why part, then they will start applying everything. Whether they are going to do anything, so I think we cannot watch all time, but when we make them to feel understand the importance of the why for any actions, that will build them the good character and good shape, even whether
Yes.
we are watching or not watching, whether we are with whether they are with us or without us, but it will take them and lead in the right direction.
Yes. And my son, not about the daughter, but my son, he used to always ask me why. And I literally consulted the children's psychologist. Why he is asking me again and again all this. Then she told, in turn, you ask him why for the same reason. For example, if he says that why should I do this, you think and let me know what would be the reason. So their thinking process will also get activated, and at the same time, you can sow the seed of whatever you want in the kid. So I don't know, these all things should work from the ground level so that it will be easy. Because I have seen even in my family where, they are like rich kids and now they're working in the business. Trust me, they know the why factor. But in depth, they're not able to dive into it because right from the childhood, that was not being taught to the kid. So yeah, I don't know, somewhere I went at a core level. But yes, it works out if anyone is having kids and you still have a chance to work out on that factor.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
I would like
Thanks,
to
Pranami.
share my personal experience, my own experience,
Yeah.
that when I came out of college, I didn't know what I wanted. And that is true for many children who come out. And I did whatever everybody else does. I got into IT, I got into a job. I worked for, and I was good at it. It's not like, I didn't enjoy it, or it's not like it was something absolutely against my core beliefs or anything like that. But then fast forward so many years, now I'm re-examining what is it that I really want. At that time it was important to be part of society. It was being, doing what friends are doing, a why was a different why then. Now the why is much more personal, it is much more internal, saying that what is it that I really want, is it going to make me happy. And one thing which has changed is that at that time it was also important that I needed to be independent. It was also important that I didn't want to depend on my parents for, for my livelihood, etc. So financial independence was a big pressing need at that time, so that was also a why. Today that why is not there. Now today it's a different why. Now it's a more intrinsic why, a soul searching why of what is my why. So that is like, I think the whys keep changing as life also progresses and your situation changes. Something which is more pressing at a different stage in life may not be a valid reason to take a decision at a point. In stone
uh,
that, okay, this is my why and nothing else.
yes, Vidya. What would you shared? Different stages, our why purpose also changes, but it's a good thing. In different stages, ask ourselves, what is my why? If we keep asking
Correct.
that why,
Totally.
then yeah, if we keep asking us why, then we are in the right track. Okay, what it is necessary on the particular time, that is different. It evolves and it evolves and it changes. But if we ignoring the why and if we continue further, then that may go to the other directions. But it's a good thing asking, keep why I'm doing this, why I do this. That is a great thing. I think it's not an easy thing. The one should have the
It's not
intellectual
easy at all.
knowledge.
In fact,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you I used to ask a male colleague of mine. He was really not interested in the work. But he was saying, क्या है, पैसा कमाना है, इसके लिए आ रहा हूँ. मतलब he was like so he was, it was like almost like he had to do it, because otherwise he had two kids, wife. And he said, I have given my wife full freedom to do whatever she wants. She can explore what she wants, but I don't have the freedom to do that because I have to take care of the family. So somewhere he clearly differentiated that somebody, his wife has all the freedom to explore her what she wanted, whereas he doesn't have that freedom. So somewhere it felt like his why was kind of tied to being keeping the family safe, keeping the family secure from a financial aspect. So that was his why. He may not have been interested in his job, but the overwhelming factor for him was the financial aspect. So that's what it felt like. Any thoughts about that? That people may have, they want to do something, but they don't let themselves do something because something is more important for them, like job is more important.
Actually, this is the condition of not very small people. I think the majority of the people have these conditions. But in this case, your colleague, whatever he has, I think at least he connects with the why with something. I think with that closed one, he is not at least okay because of I am giving freedom to my wife for choosing her why part, even though I'm struggling or I'm not interested to what I'm doing it. But at least I think the partially he is fulfilling that why part. But yeah, but some of us, we always, some people may complain the day-to-day activities and why we are doing it, what we are doing it, completely losing the track. That will make over extra stress. But I think what you said, I think that the person
Yes,
who
in
lives
that
it,
case,
at least is partially is living.
he has
Yeah,
accepted
yeah, yeah,
himself, the reality
yes,
or whatever. But when that acceptance comes, then you will be at a peace to a certain level. May not be full, but at a certain level, he would be at peace because this is the thing I have to accept. True,
absolutely,
true.
absolutely, Pranavi. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. My best example, though, I have finished my electronics and communication of engineering with MBA. When I went to monster.com, they have asked me, "Ki, what would be the reason for you to get this?" Because I was into client relations first way. So I said, my mom and dad forced me to do engineering. That's the reason I have done. But now, though, I feel that I'm good at communicating things, and I feel that I'm good at maintaining the PR as well. So that was the reason I gave. Trust me, that was really a courageous way of answering and telling them that at a transparency level, this is me. And I was being forcibly allowed to do this particular degree. So when, again, after 2 to 3 months, after giving a chance to me, it worked out wonderfully. So I think at a certain level, you should also be courageous from your side and be clear so that, you can be with your own self. You should learn actually to do that.
Yeah, 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 Prademi. I think it's a really courageous decisions. You have studied something with the higher studies and the reputed one, but still you chose what you like. Many of people not that case because if I
Yes.
studied, I don't want to lose that my credibility or what is my certificate, what is my education. I just want to. They just forced to take because the society, the family, and the pressures. But I think in your case, I think you got that freedom and you took that decisions very early time.
Yes,
Many times, I
exactly.
think many times we get a job. I think we don't have any. I think 80s, 90s people, we get job once we complete something. We get into somewhere. I think it's not that going on the right track. I think not everyone were ambitious and going to this one. Get something, get involved, and continue. If over the period, if you check what we studied and what we worked is completely different. Some people, if they like and adopt, accept it, yeah, then they can find the purpose and they can enjoy. But those who miss that, I think, hey, I wanted to have something, but I got end up with something that really make painful for the longer term. I think in that case, you have taken a very good decisions at the early stage, and you chose that the right track.
Yes,
That's good.
yes. It gives you a lot of peace of mind that, okay, at
Yeah,
least I
yeah,
am
yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. I think many people, I think if we ask, I think later stage, I should have taken or I should have lived my life which I wanted. I should have chosen that career which I wanted instead of this one. That will later, but there is no point regret at the later time. Good. I think today's reading, I think what we read and what we are sharing though it's the core message is the same, but we are receiving a lot of interesting facts and interesting experience from each individual. That's what I like most, and that is inspiring me more in this morning reading session. Thank you so much for giving me that happiness and starting my morning with the great insights and great feelings. Please, I think I will take another 2, 3 minutes. If anyone would like to share, those who have not spoken, please you share it, then we can call it for the day.
I think Anjali wants to speak. She has been unmuting for a while.
It's okay, Mansi. We are already late. Maybe
No,
I'll
no,
share on Monday.
okay, okay.
No, no,
Fine.
go
If you
on, go
want,
on. Like,
Nishant,
Running
you can
out
please
share
of
it.
time.
share
No problem. You
something.
can share it. Take 1 minute. Take 1 minute and share it, because I think you may forget and that rhythm may lose. We are
Okay.
in the rhythm. We can go it on. I think continue for the next 1 minute.
So, okay, let me start with so why the current topic? See, why for an individual and why for a company, for an organization are different. For an individual, the whys are changing and they are never the same. For each and every task, we have to look for a why. But for an organization, to run an entire a company, you are taking a team along with you. So the why has to be very clear. It cannot be changed time to time. It has to be same thing. It has to be with an idea, with a vision, and with a purpose, and that has to be taken along throughout the journey. So the whys are different for both, for an individual and for an organization. Second thing, talking about the success, like being success and feeling success. This is what I read, the chapter I read. So it spoke about some few people measure success with money. Few people measure success with the feeling, how they are feeling. There is contentment, there is happiness, there is joy or whatever. So these are different. Everyone has a different criteria to measure their success. People are more concerned with the money because money is a very important factor nowadays. Everyone wants money. So it doesn't make anyone wrong or right. Like if they are aiming for money and their why is to earn money, and they are counting their success in terms of money, they are also right. Those who are working as a visionaries, as philanthropists, or those who are just looking for some happiness in the society without, their criteria is different. So success doesn't have a fixed meaning. It has different meaning for each and every person. That is the second point. And third, I wanted to talk about the, what was that bus kana? The school bus test. That if that is like the purpose, it should be carried forward. It is not the role of the leader. It is not role of the CEO only to lead. And once the CEO he stops, the purpose stops. That is, that metaphor is used here. That if the school bus is hit, the purpose stops. School bus is a metaphor used for the purpose that is to be carried forward. So either they should delegate the job to different leaders. They should form different leaders to lead the task, and that purpose should be carried on. That is the main task. How they can continue the why. The why should be, it is to be imbibed in the organization. It is to be imbibed in each and every person who is working as a team member, and it should go on. It should be carried. So that was my takeaway. That's all.
Thank you, Anjali,
Thank
for
you.
giving a short summary of the entire reading and your thought or your point on the reading. Thank you.
What is the number of the chapter, Rajesh?
Uh, chapter 11 and 12.
Right.
Chapter 11
Thanks.
and 12. Chapter 11 partial and chapter 12 partial.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
team. I think I would like. I am so delighted to see these around a good number of participants at the end of the session. I would like to see the same number of participants in the beginning itself. So please join at 7 o'clock. So we are starting sharp at 7 o'clock. The room opens at 6:59, and
I
let's
thought I
start reading.
seriously don't have a chance for that because I would finish my yoga session by
Okay,
7:20,
okay, okay, okay.
7:25. So
Fine,
before
fine.
that, I would give a reading and then attend the session. So that would be beneficial to all of us as well.
Continue, continue. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think
thank you.
thanks. Though you had some classes and still you joined the session to sharing your thoughts. So that really shows your passion and interest into the reading or in the community.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Yeah, thank you. Keep sharing and keep joining and let's keep learning. Grow together. With this, we come to end of today's session, and we have another 2 days leading off this chapter. And let's look into the next chapter, the next book. Let's decide who wants to lead the next book and which book you want to conduct. Please, we can have a poll and choose the next book, and then we can continue. What is this? Today is setting. Next week we can have this one. Then I think we will have a Deepa ma'am. We will have the happiness project. Then we will continue the next book. Thank you. See you all Monday morning at 7 a.m.
Right. Happy weekend. You all have a great day. Bye bye.
Happy weekend. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
so much.
Bye.
We'll be finishing this book by Tuesday, Rajesh, or Wednesday.
Yeah. By Tuesday we can finish.
How many pages are left? Like, I think
I think
30,
around
40.
that around 30